Hobbs and Shaw is silly fun. Here's my drive time review. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Now, why the Fast and Furious had to be part of the title, I'm not sure, but of course they want to capitalize on the franchise, which has made Universal Pictures a lot of money. And I believe the movie came about because, as many of you know who are fans of the franchise, Vin Diesel and The Rock had a falling out apparently. We should all surmise that because nobody ever really confirmed it, but pretty much everyone figured it was between the two. So, obviously this has been a great franchise for The Rock since he joined it a few movies back. And so what perfect way to do it but a spinoff with Dwayne Johnson's character and also Jason Statham's character. But no complaints here. They're actually really great in this movie. They're very funny, and this movie actually worked better as a comedy than an action. And all the best action was in the trailer. So all the cool action sequences you've pretty much already seen. So that was a little disappointing. But what was surprising was the fact that they had really great chemistry. They riffed on each other pretty well, and it worked. It was pretty funny. There was a couple of scenes where the audience laughed a lot, and I did not see it with press this time. I saw it with at a promotional screening, so ordinary people. So it seemed to have a good reaction at the end. People seemed to be like, okay, that was silly, but it was fun. So that seemed to be the consensus of the movie. In terms of the action, there's, two car chase scenes. And we're used to seeing that in the Fast and Furious franchise, where the action, actually the last few movies, has become just ridiculous. It's more fantasy than reality. But it's working because they've made billions and billions of dollars off the franchise. But what's different in this one is, of course, you got The Rock and the Transporter, who we're used to seeing beat up people. And in here, there's a lot of mano-a-mano action versus car action. Given there's two, I think, car chases, which are relatively cool, but we saw them in the trailer. So there's not much more cool action to expect when you go see it. So if you haven't seen the trailers, don't watch it, because all the best action parts are in that trailer. What I will say was the most surprising thing about the movie was the chemistry between Jason Statham and Johnson's character. They riff on each other. They're competing against each other. So that was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed that more than the action. Actually, no, I liked the action, but like I said, you saw it in the trailer. Seeing on the big screen is a little different, so you'll get a kick out of that. But especially that motorcycle. That motorcycle was really, really cool. I wish they delved more into how that piece of machinery works in conjunction with Idris Elba's character, who is part machine. And he calls himself Black Superman because he's pretty resistant to bullets and any kind of combat. Although in the end, it makes no sense when they find his kryptonite. So it makes no sense to me. But it's a movie. It's a fantasy. The things you see in there, especially some of the action sequences where in reality that could never happen. Like the helicopter being pulled by a pickup truck. And the pickup truck, to me, I think would be lighter than your usual car. I'm not sure, I'm no expert, but just weight-wise. So that was a little bit of a fantasy sequence. A lot of people were laughing because you do get a little more extra than what you see in the trailer, but it's just on the point of being ridiculous. Hobbs and Shaw is directed by David Leitch. He directed John Wick, the first one, and Atomic Blonde. So we all know he can do action, and that's probably why they hired him. And the action, even though we see it in the trailer, is pretty good. And a lot of the scenes are mano-a-mano combat, which he does very well. And there's plenty of jugular hits. He loves those. In both movies, there's a lot of those. And here he brings that same fighting style to the movie. So he was a great choice, I think, to direct this action movie. Besides the pelones, There's Vanessa Kirby, who's also pretty badass in this movie. She's from The Crown on Netflix. She was in one of the Mission Impossible movies. She's a pretty tough lady. Although her character was a little too cold towards the end, you see a little more of a personality. But she did have some kick-ass scenes, and of course we appreciate that. In this movie, especially, you got the trinity of testosterone with Idris Elba, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham. So it was nice to see a woman do her own saving. She doesn't need any help from the men. There are some cameos which are hilarious, but they seem pointless in the story. It was just like throw a bone to a famous guy who can be in this movie. And one is a big surprise, the other one not so much when you see who it is. And yeah, they just threw in there for laughs. I mean, it just seems so out of place, but whatever, it's so silly. And in the end credits, they have some silly end credits. So stick around to the very end. They have a few, I think I counted 3. But one of them was just so silly and ridiculous. And this certain celebrity is, how should I say without spoiling it? He's going to overplay the character he played in a movie to death. And then it's not going to be funny when we see him next time. So stop it. You know who. Stop it. So no surprises here with Hobbs and Shaw. You expect the silly, action-packed movie. That's what you get. A lot of comedy. I think it worked more so as a comedy than an action, but people want to see action. And I don't think I would mind to see them in another movie pair up again. And they certainly set it up at the end. Although I don't know how you can continue this animosity between each other when they've grown to trust each other. But I'm sure they will come up with something. And it won't be the last of it, because I believe we won't be seeing Dwayne Johnson's character in another Fast and Furious movie with Vin Diesel. Let us know what you thought about the movies in the comments below. For more reviews, click right here, somewhere around here.